Every once in a while I hear somebody say something like, learning a foreign language is so hard. If I would have just learned this whenever I was a kid, it would have been so much easier. Kids learn foreign languages like that. It's so easy for them. They just absorb information like sponges. Really? Do they? Is this really a thing? Are they actually better learners than grown adults? First of all, let me preface this video by saying that I have done zero research into this, and this is completely just my opinion and a little bit of logical jumps that I've made. It's also based on a little bit of my experience while teaching high school, which I would say is a little bit more like teaching adults than it is teaching to children, specifically because I actually start my year out by telling the students that I consider them to be adults by the time that they're in high school, and if they want to be treated like one, they should act as one. Now that the disclaimer is out of the way, let's get down to business. Children learn things easier than adults. Really? How long did it take them to learn their first word? Like a year? Just under a year? Maybe you're quick, maybe you got it in 6 months. I can learn a word in 3 seconds. Google it, look at it, maybe even have Google pronounce it for me. Voila! Learned a word in that. Adult 1, kid 0. Okay, so that's a bit unfair. Kids don't even learn to walk until they're like 1 year old or so. Let's try waiting until they're a little bit older than that. According to some random article that was in the Wikipedia page for vocabulary development, and I said I didn't do any research. Anyway, according to that article, students between the ages of 6 and 8 learn about 6 or 7 words a day. I could do that in my sleep. Okay, so let's go up a little bit. From age 8 to 12, kids learn about 12 words a day. And that's in their native language. This isn't even trying to tell you that they're trying to learn a foreign language, or if they're learning 2 languages simultaneously. On any given week, I can make 25 words per day, guaranteed, just by using a flashcard app, maybe 30 minutes a day. I'm gonna go ahead and chalk that one up to adults 2, kids nothing. Here's the main problem that I have with the random sweeping generalizations made about children learning a foreign language. There are too many variables involved here. No one actually gives us a baseline whatsoever for any of this stuff. It's just randomly thrown out there. So how do we come up with this? They don't mention socioeconomic status, which by the way has been proven time and time again to be the #1 thing that challenges students. Whether or not your parents have money has a huge impact on whether or not you learn well. Why? Because you have the resources to learn well, not necessarily because rich kids are smarter than poor kids. That's just stupid. They don't even bother telling you in these widely ranging generalizations about kids what the language is that they're learning. If anyone who has ever learned a language has ever thought about this, obviously learning different languages are, in fact, different. That's kind of the point. And if they're so different, there is a different range of how difficult they can be. Therefore, if you're looking at a bunch of kids and you're like, oh yeah, this kid picked up like 12 words today, he's doing great, but he's also learning Mandarin, so he's doing like way above everybody else. It's ridiculous to just say that all kids learn all languages easier than adults. Too wide of a generalization, just doesn't make any sense. None of these things tell us anything about the general aptitude of the child. They don't even tell us hardly anything about the child. They just say that it's a child, and that's all you need to know. Look, I like generalizations just as much as the next guy, but if you get them so generalized that they don't actually have any use anymore, what's the point? So why do people think this? Why did this even become a thing? Well, children do learn a lot. Specifically in the first several years of development, they learn literally everything they've ever learned. They start out knowing nothing about the world and finally figured out, these things I can eat. Whatever it is that these adult-like people are putting in my face, they actually want me to swallow. They also learn things like walking, saying their first several words, and general communication type things. Even once you get into the older ages, you learn things like riding a bike. Basically everything that you would need in your life, they learn while they're young. So it seems to make sense that they learn well, and they learn better than adults do. But I think that's a false jump to be making. Let's look at it this way. I compare this to being a computer. A computer has a finite amount of memory that it can use, both for working memory and also for just the general hard drive overall. The human brain is pretty much the same. When you start out, you basically have nothing but the operating system. It allows you to breathe, it allows your heart to beat, you can see things, and I mean, there's not a whole lot else that it can do. As you grow, you start adding things to your hard drive. As the hard drive fills up, you start making room for things that you need more than what you used to need, so you start deleting some things. You also start shoving things around on the hard drive so that you can get to the things that you need most often, like, I don't know, words, and you put those things towards the forefront of the hard drive. That's why you can come up with those words that you use all the time really easy, because right now I'm just kind of spitballing, and you can tell that I'm just speaking from my mind, which means that these words are coming relatively easily to me, and that's because I use these words all the time, which is why in my brain, that part of the hard drive is like right here. It's actually not physically there, but you get the point. If you're a child and you're learning 2 languages at the same time, you basically have all this space up here where you could put stuff. And so if you're putting 2 languages in there at the same time, obviously you have the space for it, so you'll learn it. And you'll put those things in a prominent space inside of your brain if you use them often. But the reason that a lot of students, whenever they grow up bilingually and then they end up being adults who are only monolingual, the reason behind this is they stopped using it. And so their brain ended up deleting the things they didn't need, i.e. the second language, and started putting in things that they do need, like, I don't know, auto mechanics. Okay, so if kids are learning so much at such a young age, is there some kind of a skill that they have that we lose as we become adults? I don't really think so. I think again we have a problem comparing apples to oranges. It just doesn't work. Kids who learn a foreign language are not necessarily going to a college lecture hall where there's like 400 other kids and some guy in the front is talking about the Socratic method of how you can find the subjunctive mood, which by the way you can't do that way. Anyway, it doesn't make any sense to do it that way. And that's why whenever kids are learning a foreign language, they do stuff with the language, they speak the language, they are immersed in the language, they are forced to learn the language. And that is the problem that we have as adults. Not necessarily that we're doing things wrong, but we're not forced to do it. Kids who are learning a foreign language are using this on a daily basis. I know a lot of people who are trying to learn a foreign language and they look at stuff like once a week. That's not going to learn a language. I'm not saying that adults need to have the same type of intense immersion classes like kids do, but what I am saying is that they're going to actually have to put forth some effort. And that brings me to another major problem about this. Adults are complicated. Just as you can't make sweeping generalizations about kids, you can't make sweeping generalizations about adults either. We're complicated. Kids don't have jobs, they don't have responsibilities. It's not like they have the same type of responsibilities that an adult has. You have a lot going on in your life. That's not even the biggest difference here. Adults are stubborn, immature, lazy, and have a low threshold for anything that requires any effort whatsoever. Here's how the average adult tries to learn a language. Hey, you know what? I should learn a foreign language. I should really get on that learning a foreign language thing. Okay, I'm really gonna get on this learning a foreign language thing. Let's see, Google. Okay, I've used like 15 different websites in the last month alone trying to learn this foreign language. I just can't get it. I almost stuck with that one program for like a week. This is so frustrating to learn a foreign language. I give up. You know, I should learn a foreign language. The bottom line is this. I don't think that kids or adults are better or worse or smarter or dumber or any of those adjectives. People learn exactly as well as they want to learn. And I'm not talking about a passing fancy of like, maybe I'll learn a foreign language someday. That'd be nice, right? I'm talking about a yearning for something, a desire for knowledge. If you think you're going to learn a foreign language casually, you're not going to learn that language. If you're looking at some super hyper polyglot that learns like 45 different languages, and you're like, well, if he can learn 45 languages, surely I can learn one. It can't be that hard. You're fooling yourself. It actually takes some effort. You're right, you should be able to learn this. You can learn this language, but it's not something that you can just sit back and be like, oh yeah, I guess I'll just learn this language here. Learning a language is a battle. It's a struggle. It's trudging through the dark wilderness trying to find that light at the other end. It takes effort. It takes perseverance. And that's why children are actually better at learning a language, because they aren't given a choice. You come up to a kid and say, you're going to learn this foreign language. The kid says, no. And you're like, you're grounded. Fine, I'll learn the language. They don't have a choice. And that's the problem here. You need to stop giving yourself choices. There isn't a good reason for you not to learn a foreign language. Stop giving yourself choices. Stop giving yourself excuses, and stop giving in to this lame thing about, oh, well, I'm just not a kid anymore. I'm not as young as I used to be, and I just can't learn the language. You're just making things up now so that you don't feel bad about the fact that you haven't learned a language. Stop it.